We're 2 months into, remember how we used to say Joe Biden's America?
Yes.
Now we're in Donald Trump's America.
Yes, sir.
2 months in, man. Trump out here kicking butt, taking names.
Yes.
People are FAFOing.
We are officially in the finding out.
He's a little milder than he was in the first time.
He is.
A little more subdued, a little more laid back, even though he's still out here doing what he do. You know, he's shaking things up. The Dems are having hissy fits and they are whining and doing everything that they do, man. But we out here in these streets, and you know what? The American public doesn't seem to have a problem with it. What do you think?
It's a good. I like the more somewhat demure Trump because right now what he's doing, he just doing. I ain't talking about it. I'm just going. I'm signing it. We flipping it. We turning the tables over, and it's a good time to be in America.
Like I don't care if you don't like it. Too bad. You know, his humor is a little drier, which makes it more funny.
It's funny.
You know, but here's the thing, and this is what's really just irritating the heck out of the Democratic Party. His approval rating is at an all-time high for him. Look at this.
His second term, President Trump tied for the highest approval rating he's ever had, as more and more Americans say he's on the right track, baby. He was born that way.
7 weeks into office, President Donald Trump sports his highest approval rating ever, driven by strong, almost unanimous Republican support, modest support from independents, and little from Democrats.
I mean, how much more do they want to lose is really the question. I mean, the left keep calling him a dictator. They keep saying they want to stop Trump, but the American people don't want him to be stopped. As you pointed out, the highest approval ratings ever for him.
Hey, you know what? No, he loving it too.
Yes. He liked them numbers. And at this point, America's like, if you're a dictator, so what? we want to change. We don't care about all that stuff. That's falling on deaf ears now. All that Hitler, fascism stuff, all that stuff they're talking about. Anybody trying to hear? We try to get these prices down to get our country back.
Yeah, they got to come up with a new hustle.
Right.
The Dems do, because, you know, that old grind that they are out there with, it's not working anymore. You know, it's their refrain has become tired.
Yes.
It's a tired refrain. So he's a white supremacist. Oh, he's Hitler. Oh, he's a fascist. Oh, he's a dictator. Oh, he's all of that. Hey, man, look, what you want us to do? He's Trump.
He's
That's
Trump.
what he
That's
is.
right. He's his own. Trump's a noun and a verb. You know what I'm saying? And an adjective. You know, he's all in the above.
That's on the flip side. Trump's on his way up.
Yes.
Dems on their way down.
All right, so Fox News alert in here. We've got the verdict is in. Guilty on all charges. Count one so far we know guilty unanimously. Paul, get your reaction here.
And I don't mind making the speech without a teleprompter because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Boom, bam, bop, bada bop, boom, pow.
I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen, but she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much. That they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that? States, but I worry about Europe. I love Europe. I love the people of Europe. And I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake, and they cannot let that happen any longer. You're doing it because you want to be nice, you want to be politically correct, and you're destroying your heritage.
Denver 7 investigative reporter Natalie Chuck joining us now in the studio. And Natalie, you were in the room this morning when investigators pulled back the veil on the details surrounding this video finally.
Some people feel like without this video going viral, we might not have had as much transparency about what is going on with these investigations. Can you speak to why information has or has not been rolled out in the manner in which it has?
Yeah, I think one is the investigation was unfolding, but I'll talk for me as the chief of police. For me, transparency is going to be one of my primary goals of letting the community know as a whole what we are doing.
Colorado, once known for quiet suburbs and mountain views, has just become the stage for one of the most significant law enforcement crackdowns of the year. Federal agents from ICE and the FBI launched a coordinated operation against a Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua. 30 people indicted, 28 suspects now in custody, 69 firearms seized, including modified weapons capable of automatic fire. This is not just about numbers. It's about where these arrests happened, not hidden in remote border towns, but inside ordinary neighborhoods, apartment complexes in Aurora, places where working families live, children play, and immigrants try to build new lives. So who are Tren de Aragua? Born inside the prisons of Venezuela, they've grown into one of the most violent criminal groups in South America. And now investigators say their reach has extended onto American soil. The shock isn't only the firepower they carried, but the audacity to embed themselves in plain sight. What does this mean for community safety? And how prepared are U.S. authorities for transnational gangs moving into local spaces? Stay with us. And if you want more deep dive reports like this, don't forget to subscribe, share, and follow for updates. It began not with a raid, but with a contract. Late 2024, investigators intercepted a chilling deal. $15,000 for a killing, $5,000 more if the victim's head was delivered. That single lead cracked open a door, and what lay behind it was far larger than a murder plot. For 10 months, federal agents from ICE, FBI, ATF, and DEA went undercover. They traced coded conversations, followed late-night cash drops, and watched as ordinary apartments in Aurora turned into safe houses for an international syndicate. What they uncovered was a pipeline: drugs, guns, and extortion payments flowing from Colorado streets to criminal bosses as far as Colombia. The evidence was stark. Methamphetamine stacked by the pound, cocaine and fentanyl packaged for rapid distribution, even pink cocaine, a synthetic drug aimed at younger users. Alongside the narcotics came firepower, 69 firearms, including rifles modified for automatic bursts, body armor, and tactical gear designed for intimidation. This was not improvised crime, it was infrastructure. On the 30th of July 2025, the quiet surveillance erupted into action. 30 indictments were unsealed. 28 suspects arrested across Colorado. 3 alleged leaders charged, 1 captured inside the U.S., 2 directing operations from abroad. Federal prosecutors called it the most significant strike against Tren de Aragua on American soil. But beyond the arrests lies a harder truth. How could a prison gang born in Venezuela's penitentiaries plant roots in suburban America without notice? For months, they lived among immigrant families, blending into neighborhoods built on trust and hard work. The investigation exposed not only their reach, but the vulnerabilities of communities caught in the crossfire of globalization and organized crime. The operation also showed the painstaking work required: 10 months of wiretaps, coordination between multiple agencies, and cooperation with foreign partners. Yet even as authorities celebrated, questions remain. How many other networks are already embedded in places no one suspects? How resilient are the systems meant to protect ordinary neighborhoods from transnational crime? This was more than a raid. It was a warning. Organized crime is no longer a distant problem at the border. It can arrive quietly, settle in plain sight, and grow until the knock at the door is not a neighbor, but a federal agent. At Ivy Crossing, a sprawling complex of low-rent units, residents say ordinary stairwells turned into checkpoints. Gang lookouts posted with rifles, tenants pressured to hand over cash just to keep living in peace. This was not rumor. Cell phone videos, leaked online in early 2025, show armed men patrolling openly between laundry rooms and parking lots, weapons slung across their shoulders as if they owned the ground. The gang was Tren de Aragua, or TDA, a group born in the collapse of Venezuela's prison system, hardened by years of violence behind bars, and carried into the United States through waves of migration and asylum claims. In Aurora, federal investigators say, TDA did not merely rent apartments, they transformed them into a fortress. Residents describe being forced into silence. Children walking to school pass hallways where rifles leaned against the wall. Mothers avoided eye contact with young men in tactical gear, afraid that a glance might be read as defiance. At first, local leaders hesitated. When the leaked footage spread online, some officials dismissed it as exaggerated or taken out of context. They warned against fueling panic. Yet, the evidence kept mounting. By spring 2025, neighbors reported armed patrols at night and cash collections demanded from immigrant tenants, many of whom had no legal status and feared deportation if they called police. The result was paralysis, families trapped between a violent gang and a system they did not trust. National security experts now warn that Aurora was not an isolated case. According to law enforcement briefings, TDA has established a presence in at least 17 U.S. states, with an estimated 600 members active across the country. From Florida to New Jersey, Texas to Colorado, the pattern repeats. Gangs using migrant corridors to blend into communities, recruiting among the vulnerable, and leveraging fear to entrench their control. The Aurora chapter, investigators say, was simply the most brazen. Why Aurora? Analysts point to demographics and economics. The city is home to large immigrant populations, affordable housing complexes, and overworked local police. For a group like TDA, those conditions created the perfect storm, a community that could be dominated quietly, while political debate at the state and federal level focused more on immigration policy than on gang infiltration. This raises uncomfortable questions for U.S. politics. When video evidence surfaced of rifles carried in broad daylight at Ivy Crossing, why did it take months before decisive action followed? Was it fear of appearing anti-immigrant in a polarized climate? Or was it disbelief that a foreign gang could embed itself so quickly in a Colorado suburb? Whatever the answer, the cost was paid by residents who lived under siege long before federal agents intervened. The case has since become a flashpoint in national debate. Critics argue that political caution delayed recognition of a real threat, while defenders insist that communities should not be stigmatized by the crimes of a few. Yet between these arguments lies the reality of Aurora's families, who endure daily intimidation while elected leaders sparred over talking points. The fall of Ivy Crossing as a fortress has now entered official reports, but the broader challenge remains. TDA's reach across multiple states, its ability to blend into migration flows, and its success in exploiting both fear and political hesitation point to a new kind of security test. If an organization born in foreign prisons can carve out space in American neighborhoods, how prepared are local and national systems to confront what may already be spreading quietly elsewhere? At Ivy Crossing, the numbers tell their own story. Since the raids, emergency calls in the complex have dropped by more than 75%. Parents say children once again play in courtyards without fear, yet across Aurora, entire blocks remain abandoned, scarred by violence that emptied them out long before federal agents arrived. Beyond Colorado, the impact has rippled further. In Colombia, 2 senior leaders of Tren de Aragua were captured in coordinated operations, proof that this was never a local gang but a transnational enterprise spanning borders and exploiting migration flows. U.S. intelligence now describes TDA as a threat on par with international terrorism, a label that has sparked fierce debate in Washington. Some critics warn such language risks fueling xenophobia, while others argue the real danger lies in America's hesitation to confront the scale of organized crime until it's too late. Aurora is now a case study, a warning that suburban streets are not immune to global networks. The question that lingers: will the United States treat TDA as just another criminal group, or recognize it as a terrorist organization, reshaping the meaning of public safety? Share your thoughts below, join the discussion, and subscribe for the investigations ahead.
They must take control strongly and immediately of the unmitigated immigration disaster and the fake energy catastrophe before it's too late. The carbon footprint is a hoax made up by people with evil intentions, and they're heading down a path of total destruction. You know, the carbon footprint was a big, big thing a few years ago. I remember hearing about the carbon footprint, and then President Obama would get into Air Force One, a massive Boeing 747, and not a new one, an old one with old engines that spew everything into the atmosphere. He'd talk about the carbon footprint, we must do so. Then he'd get in and he'd fly from Washington to Hawaii to play a round of golf.
Hello, Madam First Lady. Thank you very much for being here. And Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, First Lady of the United States, distinguished delegates, ambassadors, and world leaders. 6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on 2 continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration delivered our nation into a repeated set of disasters.
Yet another chapter in the beautiful story of the friendship between our two nations, the United States of America and the Jewish and democratic state of Israel. Both of us who seek to do good and need to be strong. Both of us who are...
I mean it. First, we put in place policies that process people in a fair and fast way. Second, we're significantly expanding legal pathways for entry so businesses can get the workers they need. Families don't have to wait for a decade to be together. I've also directed my team to make a historic increase in the number of refugees admitted from Latin America. People fleeing violence and persecution who simply want their kids to have a better life. Next week, my team will consult with Congress on this plan. Third, we're supporting states and cities that have seen a surge in immigrants. We've developed federal experts and deployed them to help train city workers.
1 year ago, our country was in deep trouble, but today, just 8 months into my administration, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world.
The liberal media is panicking because Donald Trump has done more since becoming elected than Joe Biden has done his entire 4 years. Just to recap, Trump threatened tariffs on Mexico and Canada, and already the president of Mexico has been cracking down on migrant caravans coming to the United States border, and Justin Trudeau flew to Mar-a-Lago and then committed $1 billion to bolstering border security on the United States-Canada border. NATO countries are falling in line with committing to the defense spending requirements. Russia's ready to look for an off-ramp to the Ukrainian war. Trump made a threat on Truth Social to Hamas, and that war is going to be wrapping up here soon. SoftBank has committed to investing $100 to $200 billion into the United States. He was able to reduce the size of a wild government spending bill, and all that has happened while Trump still has 25 days until he is officially president.
Welcome to the MAGA Minute. It's been a huge week here at the White House, and let's go over the wins President Trump delivered on behalf of you, the American people. On immigration, illegal migrant encounters between the ports of entry are down nearly 87%. On the economy, President Trump laid out a plan to establish a sovereign wealth fund to better invest the more than $5 trillion in assets held by the United States. He also proposed tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico and China, and those tariffs were swiftly paused after our allies agreed to step up and address these issues. We are streamlining USAID into the State Department. President Trump signed a historic executive order to ban men in women's sport. Lastly, President Trump is already making our military strong again. Army recruitment in the month of December, with the anticipation of President Trump's return to the Oval Office, hit a 15-year high. We'll see you for next week's MAGA Minute.
President Trump's historic and incredible speech last night. The American people and the entire world watched President Trump powerfully lay out how he is renewing the American dream in a record-breaking joint address to Congress. And Americans loved what they heard. According to a CBS YouGov survey, an overwhelming 76% of those watching approved of President Trump's speech last night. The president spoke about how he's taken more than 400 executive actions on his key promises. The expectations were high, and President Trump is exceeding them. According to brand new polling from the Daily Mail, President Trump has never been more popular as his approval ratings are reaching historic highs. More Americans believe America is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. Everyday Americans love this president because he tells it like it is, no matter what. And he did that last night. President Trump level set with the American people on the economy and exposed how badly Joe Biden screwed it up by causing the worst inflation crisis in 4 decades. President Trump was honest about where we are while making clear that help is on the way. As the president declared last night, he will make America affordable again.
And there is no other country even close. America is blessed with the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth. This is indeed the golden age of America. We are rapidly reversing the economic calamity we inherited from the previous administration, including ruinous price increases and record-setting inflation like we've never had before. Under my leadership, energy costs are down, gasoline prices are down, grocery prices are down, mortgage rates are down, and inflation has been defeated. The only thing that's up is the stock market, which just hit a record high. In fact, it hit a record high 48 times in the last short period of time. Growth is surging, manufacturing is booming. The stock market, as I said, is doing better than it's ever done. And all of you in this room benefit by that, almost everybody. And importantly, workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? In 4 years of President Biden, we had less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. In just 8 months since I took office, we have secured commitments and money already paid for $17 trillion. Think of it, 4 years, less than $1 trillion, 8 months, much more than $17 trillion is being invested in the United States, and it's now pouring in from all parts of the world. We've implemented the largest tax cuts in American history and the largest regulation cuts in American history, making this once and again the best country on earth to do business. And many of the people in this room are investing in America, and it's turned out to be an awfully good investment during this 8-month period. In my first term, I built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had the best economy ever, history of the world. And I'm doing the same thing again, but this time it's actually much bigger and even better. The numbers far surpass my record-setting first term. On our southern border, we have successfully repelled a colossal invasion. And for the last 4 months, and that's 4 months in a row, the number of illegal aliens admitted and entering our country has been 0.
I'm really excited to catch a glimpse of the President of the United States. I think I really admire what he does for the US. He really is backing and standing up for his people and what's right for his country. So I only hope our Prime Minister could take a little bit of advice or inspiration from him.
And we're just super excited to get a glimpse of him today, and we'd be even more excited to get to meet him.
I've traveled to Scotland from Germany in order to record President Trump's motorcades. So far I've been to Turnberry a few days ago, and now I'm here in Aberdeen.
Ever since there's been, the fake Russia hoax, the assassination attempt from last year, all the kangaroo court hearings, all of these things, they've just made me double down on the man himself, the resilience that he has as a character.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's happening. Former deep state kingpin and former director of the FBI, James Comey, is officially under criminal investigation for his openly illegal activities against President Trump and the American people. We're about to break it down right now.
A well-known example is Crossfire Hurricane, a notoriously unpredicated investigation of the 2016 Trump presidential campaign tainted by 4 FISA surveillance orders based on deliberately false information contained in opposition research. This was accompanied by an unprecedented infiltration of the campaign by multiple informants. Crossfire Hurricane further involved the potential entrapment of a cabinet-level appointee based on the pretext of an introductory intelligence briefing, and rather than target the Russian influencers and protect the unwitting campaign operatives, the FBI targeted the Trump presidential campaign through those operatives.
You are back in the middle of a political firestorm.
Yeah, for walking on the beach with my wife. So I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me that it was any kind of controversial thing, but that's the time we live in.
So take me back to the walk on the beach.
We were walking on the beach. We went to the beach to prepare for this week, which was the launch of my book, and to think about the book and to prepare to answer questions about it. And we were walking back towards the road, and we saw in the sand someone had arranged shells with numbers. And Patrice, my wife, said, "Why would someone put an address in the sand?" And I said, "I don't know." And we stood over it, and I said, "I think it's some kind of like political message." And she said, 86, when I was a server, she did a lot of work in restaurants, meant to remove an item from the menu when you ran out of ingredients. And I said, well, to me, as a kid, it always meant to leave a place, to ditch a place. I said, that's really clever. So then she said, you should take a picture of that. And I did. And I posted it on my Instagram account and thought nothing more of it until I heard through her that people were saying it was some sort of a call for assassination, which is crazy. But I took it down. Even if I think it's crazy, I don't want to be associated with violence of any kind.
It is Monday, September 22nd, and real accountability is here. The first major indictment reportedly about to drop with the perpetrators of Crossfire Hurricane. Also, new polling out that spells disaster for Democrats. Wait till you see this. And one of the Dem Party's rising stars in hot water this morning, unable to answer just basic questions on how in the world she made $7 million in just a few short years after being elected to Congress. Wait till you see this.
I want to make it very clear, this isn't just about the New York Attorney General. That office is also investigating a statement made to Congress by former FBI Director James Comey back in 2020, and the statute of limitations on that issue elapses in a little over a week.
The Trump Department of Justice reportedly getting ready to indict the first person involved in the Crossfire Hurricane investigation of the investigation. Former FBI Director James Comey is reportedly going to be the first target of the investigation indicted. And it's happening now. It's happening today, tonight, tomorrow. That's what we're hearing. Maggie Cleary has been appointed to lead the EDVA, the Eastern District of Virginia, after Trump just fired Eric Siebert last week on Friday. Siebert, he's been stonewalling Pam Bondi for months, working behind the scenes to delay bringing indictments of key targets of this investigation. A few days ago, all of this popping off when President Trump allegedly had enough, demanding information on what in the world was taking so long. Pam realized, informed the White House months ago, that a grand jury found more than enough evidence to indict multiple people, multiple targets of this probe. Trump, being the president, keeps all this at arm's length. That's what he's advised to do. But after months of no movement, nothing happening, he wanted answers last week, and he found out that Eric Siebert, the Attorney General of the Eastern District, has failed to indict, that he has had everything he's needed but chose not to indict these people. President Trump not wasting any time, firing Siebert apparently right away, probably telling Susie Wiles in the actual meeting, fire him now, Susie. You could picture him saying that. Well, what do you know? Eric Siebert then goes to the press that same afternoon on Friday and says he resigned because the White House was pressuring him to indict Letitia James and James Comey. But he refused and felt he had no choice but to resign, which is not what happened at all. Trump posting on Truth Social Friday, "Today, I withdrew the nomination of Eric Siebert as U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District when I was informed that he received the unusually strong support of the two absolutely terrible sleazebag Dem senators from the great state of Virginia. He did not quit. I fired him. Next time, let him go in as a Democrat, not a Republican. Thank you for your attention to this matter." The media using that fake statement by Eric Siebert to paint Trump as weaponizing the DOJ. This is what they do, folks. President Trump then posting to Truth Social, making it clear to everyone what he, as the chief law enforcement officer of this country, believes should happen next. Writing this, "Pam, I've reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time. All talk, no action. Nothing is being done. What about Comey, Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing's going to be done." Then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who was never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Dem senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him and there's a great case, and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsay Halligan's a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice, indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. Well, what do you know? 2 days later, after Eric Siebert is fired, we're hearing everything's now rolling full steam ahead. We're hearing the first indictment will be announced now, like today, tomorrow, this week. It could happen tonight, folks. And that person, the person who's going to be indicted first, reportedly James Comey.
We're all Trump supporters. A lot of the media reports that all Scotland hates Trump, and not the case. We think the majority of people are.
We are about 3 weeks away from the most anticipated election in history. Our great-great-great-great-grandkids gonna talk about this shit. Gonna talk about how one man, Donald motherfucking Trump, stood up to a whole corrupt nation of politicians and fuckery. Bro, gonna have a statue in the middle of New York posing with that fucking dance he do. Now I know it's 3 weeks away and anything can happen, and they tried everything in their motherfucking power. Obama, which, in my opinion, the most disappointing fucking president in history, is begging motherfuckers that all the liberals ain't making sense when they speak, like this motherfucker right here. Sonny, Sonny, Sonny. Woo, that Sonny is funny. That Sonny is funny and a dummy. Woo, woo. She is something else. A firecracker. God bless her fucking husband. This is a celebration, people. Celebration because for the first time in history, all walk of life, all races gonna come together on November 5th, and we all gonna vote for the motherfucker who God decided to save. Not once, not twice, but apparently 3 times. God saved that man multiple times this year. It's a reason why God want him alive, and it's a reason why God want him to be our president. This is going to be a historic moment in humanity, because come and find out, one thing that brought us all together is this Jeeper Creepers motherfucker. The worst administration in history.
Hard to believe, because if you look back just a year ago, it was millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, from prisons, from mental institutions, drug dealers, all over the world they came. They just poured into our country with the ridiculous open border policy of the Biden administration. Our message is very simple. If you come illegally into the United States, you're going to jail, or you're going back to where you came from, or perhaps even further than that. You know what that means. I want to thank the country of El Salvador for the successful and professional job they've done.
But what about the human right for women not to be raped? I mean, what about the human right of kids to, to play, or to be free, or to, go to the park? And what about the human right to live, or the human right to walk in the street, right? But no, they were worried about the human rights of the killers.
In receiving and jailing so many criminals that entered our country, and it was under the previous administration that the number became record-setting, and they're all being taken out.
Crying harder, crying harder. Trump is your president. Crying harder, crying harder. Trump is your president.
On the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" exclamation point, catch exclamation point.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do.
No one has ever been more dangerous to this country than Donald Trump, and he is a fascist to his core.
And shut down the Senate! We are at war!
We're in a war right now.
We are at war.
So you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
And that's why the gloves are off.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
And yes, there are many threats to democracy. We see it with these extreme candidates.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
But you can only push people so far. And then they start to take matters into their own hands.
What the American public want is for us to bring actual weapons to this bar fight. This is an actual fight.
You know, this is literally call to arms.
The MAGA movement is a threat.
But Michelle says that, when they go low, we go high. No.
With all due respect, if they go low, we don't go high.
When they go low, we kick them.
We take them to the mud and choke them out.
And make sure that they stay down. And you know what? Kick them when they're down, because they deserve it.
Get up in the face of some Congress people.
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your...
We have to fight this in the streets.
And we're going to fight it in the streets. It's time to step out of your comfort zone and step out into the streets.
To our Republican colleagues, if you do not see the light, we will bring the fire. Resist! You and your little friend off of Twitter. Y'all about to find out.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
He's not going to have a third term. He may not finish this term.
Yes, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. Just saying. There will be news sometime. Just so you know, there will be news.
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith in my life.
But if you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.